What's going on, baseball fans? How are we doing? So the Mets have had an awesome offseason so far, adding Max Scherzer, Mark Canha, Starling Marte, Eduardo Escobar, but they could have another move up their sleeves once the lockout is over. Let's go talk about it. Okay, so here we go with both Jeff McNeil and Dominic Smith coming off disappointing 2021 seasons. There is some expectation within the industry the Mets will trade at least one of the duo after the lockout. Mike Puma of the New York Post writes, back in late November, Mets mesmerized Michael Mayer tweeted that multiple teams had been in touch with the Mets about a McNeil trade. So let's get into this. Jeff McNeil, a very good hitter back in 2019. Take a look at the numbers that he put up. Over 133 games, hit 318, a 384 on base, a 531 slugging, a 144 WRC plus, had 23 homers, 75 RBIs, a very good season. Even in 2020, yes, it was a shortened season, but over 52 games, he hit 311, a 383 on base. His slugging did go down to 454, but overall, a good season. But 2021, this is when it kind of came off the rails a little bit. Only over 120 games, only hit 251, a 319 on base, only a 360 slugging, 7 homers. Just not a good season. He got into a lot of slumps. He was benched at one point. There was the whole thing with Francisco Lindor and the rat in the dugout tunnel or whatever the heck happened there. So Jeff McNeil, I don't know. I'm wondering here if maybe a change of scenery could be good for him. But let's kind of get into what exactly is going on with Jeff McNeil. Taking a look at the advanced numbers, as you can see, we got some blues here. Average exit velocity, down. Hard hit percentage, down. XwOBA, X slugging, barrel percentage, walk percentage, very low. He ranked very well in strikeout percentage and the whiff percentage. So that is a good sign. At least he's not, striking out a lot. That can tend to be a bad sign. But I am a little worried about these blues. So what exactly was going on here? Well, if you take a look, I'm going to take a look here at a few things. I'm going to look at the topped percentage. In 2019, his top percentage was a 31.2, so him getting on top of the ball when he was swinging. 31.2%, went up to 33.4% this past year. Taking a look at how he was in the under percentage. In 2019, 23.4%, that went up to 26.4%. If you take a look, the barrel percentages were very similar, 4.8 in 2019, 4.3 in 2021. So to me, I feel like something was off mechanically where he just wasn't quite making that great contact. As you can see here shown, the hard hit percentage was down. I just feel like something was off with his swing and he was either topping the ball or he was getting under it. So that's what I'm thinking is going on too. If you take a look at the line drive percentage in 2019, 26.6% went down to a 22.8%. I mean, that's a big drop off right there. So not making solid contact. You need more solid contact out of Jeff McNeil. I think maybe a couple of tweaks mechanically. I think he could get back on track. So with Jeff McNeil, as of right now, on the projected depth charts on Fangraphs, he doesn't have a home right now. He's on the bench. I mean, you got, as of right now, Robinson Cano slated for second base. You just added Mark Canha and Eduardo Escobar here and Starling Marte. So right now, Jeff McNeil is kind of in no man's land. He doesn't really have a place to play unless, they want to keep him on the bench. But I feel like Jeff McNeil, maybe a change of scenery could be good for him. Let's go over some teams that I think could be a good fit for Jeff McNeil. For Jeff McNeil, there are a lot of fits out there where he would fit on paper. You got a team like the Angels. Maybe you could move David Fletcher. You got the White Sox. Maybe you can have Lurie Garcia be more of that utility guy. With the Rockies, you could have Brendan Rodgers move to short and Jeff McNeil can slide right in at second base. With the Mariners, you got Adam Frazier right now at second base. So Adam Frazier, he can play in the outfield. So I think or Jeff McNeil, he can play in the outfield as well. So they have some versatility here. But out of these teams, I actually don't think these teams are the best fit. So let's get rid of these and let's take a look at some teams that I actually think would be better fits. The two teams that I think would be the best fits possible are the Oakland A's and my Red Sox. So let's see what trades we can come up with on baseball trade values. Before I get to the trades, let's talk about what I think the Mets should acquire. I think instead of trading off Jeff McNeil for prospects, I think you need to go for some major league ready guys. And I think someone for the starting rotation. I know the rotation looks amazing on paper. DeGrom, Scherzer, Walker, Carrasco, that looks fantastic. But DeGrom, Scherzer, bit of health risks. Scherzer had the dead arm last year in the playoffs. DeGrom obviously didn't really pitch at all in the second half last year. Walker, he had a bad second half last year. Carrasco, he's a bit of a health risk as well. So I think you need a guy that you can count on to give you some innings. So for the first trade, I think the Red Sox would be a good fit. Kike Hernandez currently slotted in at second base. He could move to center field, so that would create the opening for Jeff McNeil. So here's the trade that I have with the Red Sox. For the Mets, they're going to be getting Nick Pivetta and pitching prospect Brian Mata, and then going back to the Red Sox would be Jeff McNeil. Pivetta had himself a pretty decent season last year. If you take a look at his numbers overall, a 4.53 ERA, 155 innings, 175 strikeouts. Those are some pretty solid numbers. He was better in the first half last year than he was in the second half. The FIP was a little better at 4.28, but overall a good season for him. I think if he would be able to improve in the second half, he would just be that much better. But I think Nick Pivetta would be a guy for the Mets rotation that could give them some innings at the back end, someone that you can count on to give you a start every fifth day. And then also going to the Mets in this trade, I have Brian Mata. He's currently their number 5 prospect on Fangraphs. His value has diminished a lot because he did have Tommy John surgery. So maybe this is a situation where Chaim Bloom can sell high on him. So I don't know if Bloom would really execute this kind of a trade, because I think he wants to bring prospects in. He wants to strengthen the farm system. But maybe in a situation like this where you are getting someone like Jeff McNeil, who is under control for the next couple of seasons, maybe that could be worth it. But I think there is a better trade out there, and that's with the Oakland A's. Let's go take a look at it. So you might be thinking, why the Oakland A's? The Oakland A's, they're trying to get rid of payroll according to the reports this past offseason. Well, with Jeff McNeil, he's only projected to make $2.8 million in arbitration this year. And in this trade, I think if you can get a Sean Manaea, which I think the Mets really could use. I think they could use a lefty in that rotation. Sean Manaea would be a huge upgrade for them. And then going to the A's in this trade, Jeff McNeil and their number 10 prospect, Jalen Palmer. This is a pretty even trade, I think, for the A's. And taking a look at their payroll, like I said, they're trying to get rid of payroll right now. In this situation, you're clearing out a lot of payroll. Sean Manaea projected to make $10.2 million, and like I said, with Jeff McNeil, $2.8 million. So you're saving just around $7 million there, and I think that could be really handy for the Oakland A's. You're getting a second baseman for the next couple of years. It's a change of scenery for Jeff McNeil. I think this trade for both sides would make a lot of sense. And the big thing here, Sean Manaea for the Mets, they need a lefty in that rotation. You do have David Peterson, but to me, I think if you can get a sure thing like a Sean Manaea, I think that would make a ton of sense. To me, I think this trade makes the most sense. And if you were to trade Jeff McNeil, I think this is the best trade out there. So those are my thoughts on Jeff McNeil and a possible trade. Tell me what you would do down below in the comments. If you were the Mets, would you trade Jeff McNeil? Who would you trade him to? What players would you want in return? Let me know down below in the comments. But that's all I have for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.